Well, get those life vests zipped in clips, strap down those rods, and stow away those tackle bags because we are going fishing. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Bass to Anglers podcast. I'm your host, Keith Nicewanger, and I hope this episode finds you with 5 for 25 in your live well. But if Mark Davis goes out and catches 34 pounds in the knockout round, and then Chris Lane comes back in the championship round to steal the win on the last cast of the day, well, 25 pounds might not be enough. Special thanks to our partners who make this podcast possible. Bassco Fishing is the official wardrobe sponsor of the Bass to Anglers podcast. Bassco Fishing is making bass fishing fun again. Have you seen the new styles and colors that Bassco Fishing has just dropped? Be sure to check out all the new colors and all the new styles by going to basscofishing.com. Of course, by now you know we are the Western representatives for Duckett Fishing, pro-driven rods, reels, and baits. Duckett's building a Western presence, and if you haven't seen it yet, you soon will. New independent dealerships are popping up all the time. Be sure to check out the Duckett lineup of pro-driven rods, reels, and baits, and especially you want to take a look at those Micro Magic telescoping 8-foot rods. Well, they're 7-11 and 7-10, but they're telescoping and they will fit into your rod box. Doesn't matter what size boat you have. Be sure to check out that and a lot more at the Duckett website, duckettfishing.com. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to introduce you to our newest podcast partner, Bait Pop. Bait Pop is a forward-facing live electronics intensifier. Rub a little on your favorite bait and watch it pop on your electronic screen. Brought to you by the folks at The Original Fish Formula. Check out Bait Pop by going to theoriginalfishformula.com. Today we are talking to the founders of Lurion Boats, the world's first all-electric bass boat. Is this the Tesla of the bass boat world? We're going to ask that question. But first, if you like the content we produce on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. Tell them, Larry.
Get her done.
Like this video. Leave us a comment if you're not afraid. We are building our viewership, and your follow makes a big difference to us. We would also like to remind you to check out the Bass to Anglers podcast Angler of the Year standings. Go to our website, basstouranglers.com, and you can see the top 10. You can see the whole list if you want. We've got something like 3,000 anglers logged in and categorized. You can see the point standings from first place down to, I don't know, 3,000th, I guess. New season has started and shaping up to be very exciting. Check it out, basstouranglers.com. Our guests today are making huge news in the bass fishing world as they announce the world's first all-electric bass boat, which is soon to hit the market. Cameron Clayton is the former CEO of the Weather Channel and was instrumental in transforming that company's advertising business into the world's largest Internet of Things platform, culminating in the sale to IBM, reportedly $2.2 billion sale to IBM. Colby Clayton is a rising star in the world of high school bass fishing and expects soon to move into the college ranks. The two Claytons are the founders of Lurion Bass Boats, one of the most talked about stories in the world of bass fishing today. Cameron, Colby, welcome to the Bass to Anglers podcast. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having us. Thanks for having us. We're excited to be here.
Okay, guys, tell us the story of Lurion. Where did it come from? I see the word lure. I see the word ion. Is that kind of a mashup there?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. It's a mashup of the word lure and ion from electricity. Put the two together, and you have Lurion. And so, yeah, Colby can tell you about where the business and the idea for the company came from.
Yeah, so pretty much we had me and my dad would talk after tournaments and see all the bass boats, all the different companies, and each one saying they do something completely different from the last, when really all of them are just about exactly the same. And what they do and how they function. So we decided that we were going to take what we know from other boats and from what's going on in the world today and put it into a whole new form of bass fishing.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, go
there's
ahead.
really one key thing at heart of it, I think, which is really Colby's idea, which is, how do you actually fish like 360 degrees around the boat, right? Between the way power poles are implemented today, between the increasing size and weight of outboard engines, so the back of your stern of your boat's really like sort of like almost a no fishing zone in practical terms. And so we were really like, well, if you could really fish in a 360 degree way around your boat with the improvements in sonar technology, live scopes, and everything else, having that be like truly 360 really opens up your sort of casting area. And so that was like the primary sort of driver for how do we, come up with a boat that you can actually do that from. And then I think second thing,
I was going to interrupt you real fast. You're making all kinds of things happen in my head here. You're right. You have spot lock on a trolling motor. There's no reason why you can't put your trolling motor into the wind, walk back on that platform you have, and fish the back end of the boat. That's
right.
That makes a boat a lot more functional than trying to put your nose into the boat, cast backwards from the front of the deck.
Right.
That's some ingenuity right there. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but go ahead.
No. Look, I think there's a lot of the things we've been talking about are things I think we've heard from friends and colleagues, and just like things we've experienced ourselves that we kind of wanted to change or do differently, but didn't really know how to do it. And then as we sort of really started with like a blank sheet of paper of like, how would we do this? We actually came up with a bunch of different things that on one hand are small innovations, but when you put them all together, it sort of ends up being like a pretty different, a different looking boat, a different size boat, a different performing boat. And then, lets you sort of achieve this primary goal, which is more fishability. And then Colby's the oldest of my kids. I have 4 kids. And so for me, it was also something where we just wanted a more capable boat for more people. We all love fishing. Everyone in our family loves fishing. And so being limited to sort of 2 people in many ways, and then 3 at a squeeze, to try and get it to be 4 people was actually sort of at least a big goal of mine. He didn't care as much, but it was a big goal of mine as the dad to be able to bring more of the family along, but not to compromise when you try to have 4 people. And so we sort of made this convertible seating arrangement where, even if you got 4 people, the seats then fold back down, and it's almost like
more deck space
to cast from. And then what we found is, as we sort of started talking about that, it almost changes the sport, honestly, because it's almost like golf, right? You got 2 people on the front, you got 2 people on the back. It's like a foursome in golf. All of a sudden, it's like it's a competition. And you know how we are. We're all guys. Yeah. We're like, used to get four guys together. All of a sudden, there's a wager going, and we're smack talking with each other all the time. So
Basco Fishing Apparel now has built-in SPF 50 technology to not only keep you cool and dry, but to also help your skin stay safe from the elements while you're out there on the water. All that in colors and styles that are sure to up your game. Check out the new colors and styles by going to their website, bascofishing.com, and make bass fishing fun again. Hey, Colby, tell me a little bit about your fishing experience. You're a high school bass fisherman at this point. I see you've got the BASS logo on there, the mothership logo. Yeah. And what is it MPC? I can't quite see what your jersey says.
Mount Perrin, yes.
Okay.
Mount Perrin Christian.
What grade are you in?
I'm a sophomore in high school, so 10th grade.
I wonder how many sophomores in high school have come up with an idea for a bass boat. I got to think that's probably a first. I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably small. It's definitely probably a small group of people.
Yeah,
The plan is to, plan is to go on to college.
The plan is to go to college, yes, sir, and fish pretty much my whole life.
Excellent.
Yeah, he wants to go all the way. We'll see, right? It's
Yeah,
a pretty
well,
hard slog, as you know, to do that. But he certainly wants to. He wakes up thinking about fishing, goes to bed thinking about fishing, dreams about fishing, I think. So he was fishing yesterday and we'll be fishing again this afternoon. So
there you go. There you go. So, what kind of material will this boat be made out of? When I look at the mock-ups on your website, it's kind of hard to tell whether it's a fiberglass or a composite or aluminum. What is it going to be made of?
Yeah, so it's going to be it's a culmination of two of those things. So it's a fiberglass hull with a composite foam core. So I think one of the things that we've heard, and look, we put our website up on Wednesday, and it's already like been unbelievable, the response.
It's a big story.
Quite ready.
It's a big story.
Yeah, we sort of weren't quite ready for the response, to be honest. But so the boat is it's going to be a fiberglass hull with a foam composite core. Even though it's 23 feet, almost 23 feet long and almost 9 feet wide, it's going to be as light or lighter than most of the 21-foot sort of fiberglass boats today. The weight in the boat actually all comes from the batteries. The batteries are the weight in the boat, and so that actually has a big impact on the performance, like all weight does. But moving the weight from hanging off the back of the boat to actually being placed exactly where we want the weight in the boat, and that weight never changing, right? You think about your current, internal combustion engine boats, where the gas tank is, as you run all day, fish all day, even your stability on the water changes as your fuel changes. With us, that doesn't ever change. The weight's constant, and we put the weight exactly where we want the weight, which makes a huge difference for handling, seakeeping, turning, hitting chop, etc.
So the specs on the website say the boat weighs 2,200 pounds. That's with batteries in it.
Yeah, that's with batteries in it. Yeah,
I think that's I think in some of the discussions that I've looked at, I think there were questions as to what's it going to weigh when you put batteries in it, but that's what it's going to weigh. Wow,
that's what it's going to weigh. That's what it's going to weigh. The additions to that are people and then bass. So depends how big your bag is, right?
Okay. Now the next question comes to mind. I live in California, and so electric cars are big here. I mean, we still only have about 5% of the cars on the road are electric, but it's always a talk. And of course, the batteries that are going to run this boat. What can you tell us about the batteries? Is this an original battery that you guys have come up with, or is this something that's already aftermarket? Or
yeah, so the we're basically doing a preliminary sort of launch run. We'll have so the first run of boats, depending on demand, will be 300 boats. And for those first 300 boats, we'll be using batteries that are available in the market today. I think one of the things we've been talking about a lot is how do we make the batteries essentially almost portable and or replaceable. So they're almost like briefcases that you can slot into slots within the boat, almost like you do with your tackle boxes, right?
Yeah.
That's ultimately where we want to get to. I think the realities of that are quite complex today. And so it won't be the first run of boats that will be set up that way, but that's where we aspire to get to over time, is sort of a replaceable, slottable battery setup. But initially the batteries will all be sort of fixed in place in the middle. And actually that sort of walkway down the middle from bow to stern is actually where the batteries are kept and stored, and in the V of the boat.
One of the things that all anglers worry about is running out of energy, running out of fuel on the lake
Yeah.
or the waterway. And my GoPro has battery packs that I can hook into. When my GoPro starts to die, boom, I can plug in. Is that something that could be incorporated into an electric boat at some point?
Yes, I think one of the things that's pretty amazing about the boat is and about electric versus other drivetrain sort of options is, if you, for example, if you the main batteries, the main electric power pack will also be used for the trolling motor. And so if you don't run the boat at 60 plus miles an hour and just use the trolling motor, you'll have days of trolling motor capacity on this boat, right? Days. So
Okay.
the practical reality is, yes, you might be limping home at like 4 or 5 miles an hour, but you'll always be able to sort of get home. The other thing is the boat is designed like most electric vehicles, where it basically has a lot of range warnings and a lot of mathematics in it. As soon as you launch the boat at the ramp, it begins calculating from the minute you leave where you launch exactly where you are on the lake, and will give you a distance and time and battery charge back to exactly that ramp. And so there's multiple sort of built-in capabilities to try and make sure you never have to have range anxiety sort of when you're on the water.
Okay, so I've got a little bit of a background in the boating industry. I've been involved with boat dealerships in the past, and that whole design looks otherworldly to me. It looks, I mean, I've seen setbacks before, but this has a multiple setback to it. And talk about the physics of designing a boat that is 23 feet long, almost 9 feet wide, with a dry weight of 2,200 pounds, and has a top speed of 100 miles an hour. And it's powered by an electric motor.
Yeah.
Is that now? How did you do this? Who did you talk to? Who are your engineers in this?
Yeah. So just to be fair to Colby and I, we are not PhD physicists or anything like that. And so we partnered with a naval architecture company called Oceans 5 in Florida. They do sort of the design work for most of the largest offshore saltwater angling boats. And they've been helping us for over a year, about a year and a half now, on the design here. We've gone through multiple iterations of the design. I think a couple of things that to sort of call out on the design. So one is, I think there's been some false constraints in place around sort of bass boat design. And so if you look at wakeboarding boats, with like really big pickle bow shapes on the front, you still have a V entry in terms of the boat design, but you have tons of forward space for sitting, lounging, etc. So we sort of brought that design concept to the bow of the boat. We wanted more space at the bow. I think every bass fisherman wants more space on the bow of their boat. I think the second part of that is there's been this false sort of restriction on how wide the boat can be. And that's been determined by trailer width. And so when we looked at that, we were like, let's not take that into consideration, because there's multiple ways we can solve that through trailering the boat differently and different trailer technology that's evolved over recent times. And so we wanted to keep the width as wide as we could from the bow to the stern for fishability, without having to sort of compromise in terms of storage area to fish off of. The second is we didn't want to compromise on performance either, right? And so there we brought sort of offshore powerboat racing technology to bear in the Ion 21. And so that's really about a stepped hull design. So we're adding air to the water as it passes over the hull. So we reduce the amount of friction on on the hull, sort of in the pocket, so to speak, where it's planing from. The second is surface drive outboard, or sort of surface drive technology is about 30% more efficient than outboard engine technology. So the same boat, the same weight, the same everything, surface drive is about 30% more efficient than all the other drive units. And the main reason for that is only half the propellers in the water at the time, right? It lets you do two things. One, it's more efficient. Two, it lets you RPM higher in terms of the RPMs, and that ultimately impacts top end speed.
I don't got to worry. I don't got to worry about running the propeller out of the water because it's not an outboard engine.
That's exactly right. It's designed exactly for that.
Wow.
And so it also has this pretty amazing byproduct, which I think Colby was like fired up about when we started doing some modeling and prototyping, is it puts like a 30-foot rooster tail up in the air as you fly down the lake. So it looks like an offshore powerboat catamaran racing. And so that's the sort of technology that we've been looking to bring to bear to the bass boat space, from a hull design, sort of hydrodynamics and performance capability. It has also an advantage. It has, really a very, very small number of moving pieces, right? And so
something like 5 or 6 moving pieces, right?
Yeah, 5 or 6 moving pieces. We've added some complexity because we're going to do some really, I think, pretty fun, innovative things around, like, how do we keep our live bait wells sort of cool and temperature control, et cetera. So we're adding some complexity in terms of the overall sort of mechanics of the boat, but the actual drivetrain is as simple as you could possibly get.
That's pretty fascinating stuff, and it's exciting, very exciting. Now, I've done some research, and I've gone into some forums, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of these forums as well, but I've got some questions that people have posed, and I think we got to kind of throw them out there. So if you don't mind, I'm going to bounce a few of these off you and see how you do with them. Okay, first one says, seriously, you think they somehow managed to find the magic recipe to make a hull faster than Bullet, Stroker, or Allison? That size hull with a 250? I'd be impressed to see 60 miles an hour out of it. First of all, let me just tell you that if you guys do what you say you're doing, you're going to crush these poor Allison owners and these poor Bullet boat owners. These guys, these Go Fast guys, they're not going to know what to do with themselves.
Well, yeah. Look, our goal is not to crush anybody else in this. I think we certainly want to be super humble about what we're doing here, because I think we're really in many ways trying to evolve on the shoulders of giants, right? Like the Ranges and Bass Cats of the world and Phoenixes, Skeeters. Like, these guys have built incredible boats for a long time. And so we definitely want to be humble, and as we enter into this market, and we're learning from them and trying to evolve and bring some more innovation there. I think it's well, a couple of things to, I guess, share, and sort of breaking news, I guess, on your podcast that we haven't shared with the rest of the world yet.
Love that.
But the electric drivetrain is restricted for tournaments at 250 horsepower, because that's what tournaments require, at least at the high school level, et cetera. If you're actually running the boat on Sunday and you turn off tournament mode, I'm not going to say how much horsepower you've got, but it's a lot more than 250 horsepower. The electric drivetrain gives you all of the torque and all of the horsepower instantaneously, and it's insane, is all I will say. Like, the muscles on your face will hurt after you run this boat down the lake full speed.
That's going to make the Allison guys and the Bullet Bass Boat guys. That's going to really because those guys, they like their power. So let me understand this. So you're talking about a boat, because you do advertise it that it is set to go 100 miles an hour. So there's actually a tournament mode that you place this boat in that restricts its horsepower to 250 horsepower.
Exactly right.
But if you undid that, or if you flipped a switch, then you've got how in horsepower, how much horsepower would you say that would be? Untethered.
We haven't actually measured it in top end horsepower. But the way I would encourage everyone to sort of think about it is it's kind of like a Tesla versus like a Porsche or something, right? Like in just pure acceleration and straight line energy transferred to the propeller, at the propeller, it's dramatically faster.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm thinking about the bass.
That's the big thing that's like hard. It's hard to quantify exactly. And electric engines and batteries and everything else doesn't really convert to horsepower very well, but it's 100 kilowatts of basically battery pack that you can instantly deploy the whole amount using a hot foot throttle, straight to your surface drive. So it's going to blow people away in its performance, and we can't wait to get some people out on it and testing it here soon.
I know some bass fishermen, and I'm not so sure they should be given that much power.
Yeah, well, actually, we're still working through all the testing on it. We may have to limit the sort of the performance of the boat, because I think the acceleration is going to also be something to handle. Let's just say,
yeah.
You really want to be sitting down and holding on pretty tight.
Okay, next question, next comment that I came across. It has a fixed propeller shaft and a rudder. That's not going to work well on shallow stump field impoundments. How do you respond to that?
So pretty much how we've set it up is on new boats like Vexuses and Phoenix boats. Really, you're never running full speed through a stump field anyway.
Theoretically. Yeah.
Yes. Really,
we hope not.
Really, you're not doing that. But at the same time, if you are running through that with a fixed propeller and a fixed shaft, a stump is gonna more likely hit the hull of this boat before it ever hits the rudder.
Interesting. Okay. I think that answered that question.
I mean, I think it's a compromise, right? Like there's no perfect boat. So this is, an area where, put your trolling motor out and go cast on,
right.
On a big bass when it's, on its bed. But
yeah, trust your channel markers. And if you're driving through that kind of stuff, you gotta be smart about it. Okay. That's right. Fair. I don't see a way to trim the attitude of the boat for rough water. It's a new term. I had not heard of attitude, but I completely understand what they mean by attitude of the boat. We have to trim up, we have to trim down sometimes in rough water. What do we do with a Lurion?
Yeah, so the 3D rendering doesn't have the trim tabs showing on the boat, but the boat has 2 trim tabs that are built into the hull, right on the stern. You can adjust the attitude of the boat up and down from the steering wheel like you would on any other boat. I think the only other thing to call out is because of the placement of the weight, the boat will actually get on plane without changing its angle very much.
Okay. Oh, so that's interesting. That's really interesting. Yeah, because we have that nose rise
yeah, you're doing this. This is more like a pickup. Go.
Wow. Interesting stuff. One of the things that I allude to in my opening today, this is that it really takes. We all have this perspective as bass anglers, and it's fairly narrow. We kind of do the same things And right now, of course, we're seeing forward-facing electronics kind of consume the world, and it's very difficult for some people to come to grips with. It's just some guys just cannot handle this, but it's here and it's there. And I really think that sometimes a little bit wider perspective or coming in from a different angle is what we need to inspire significant change. One more question that I came across that was interesting to me. You're going to need special wide load permits to move it anywhere since it exceeds 8.5 feet wide. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, so if the boat on its trailer, when you trailer it in and out of the launch at the boat ramp, the boat's 107 inches wide. And so you can't tow it down the road without a permit like that. But with innovations we've built into the trailer, again, coming from, the big offshore catamaran world, it actually adjusts. So if you think about, you've got a trailer that's, 102 inches wide. If you actually turn it slightly on its angle, then the 107 inches becomes 102
I know. So you're talking about the way that the big power boats, they come in on their sides. So this trailer has that the trailer's got that adaptation also.
Exactly right. You push a button and it's road mode, and it is 102 inches wide.
Wow.
Or less. Yeah.
I got to say, you guys have responded to these. These were some of the more negative comments that I found when I went out there and looked for them. And you guys have responded pretty well to these things. Okay, one of the things that caught my attention was that no maintenance on the boat. And the other thing that caught my attention was $185,000. But as I began thinking about it, with maintenance and gasoline over the course of 10 to 15 years of a boat, I'm not sure that doesn't cancel itself out.
Yeah, we haven't actually done all the math on that, but look, there's no way around this. This is going to be an expensive boat. Electric batteries are exceptionally expensive. All that sort of electronics on this boat are really expensive, and so it's at the top end of the market, and over time, hopefully with volume, we can bring the price down, make it more available to more people. I think we also aspire over time to make a smaller version of the boat and make it at a lower price point as well. I think what we wanted to do with sort of our first boat here was build exactly sort of the vision that Colby had, with like sort of no compromises, if you like, the biggest fishing platform we could have, that 360-degree mindset. And so that was really what drove us sort of to this answer. And so, yeah, we're pretty excited about how it's turned out, but hopefully others will tell us if they're excited about it too.
Yeah.
Also,
go ahead.
The rendering is like what the photos on our website is what the boat comes looking like. All the screens, trolling motor, both screens in the back, all four in the front.
Now, can an old guy like me who's not very technologically savvy, can we handle all that technology? Because
well, do you have Apple CarPlay in your truck or car?
No, actually, I don't. I have Sirius Radio. That's what I have.
All right. Well, anyway, anyone who can use Apple, an iPhone or Android, will be able to use everything on the boat. And so, as Colby said, we got 6 Garmin screens, all connected up, and then it connects and Bluetooth into your phone. So all the apps from your phone also will work on the screens in the boat. You can even do a Zoom call like we're doing right now from the boat. And so
Wi-Fi hotspot.
You could even be at work from the lake, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's
Well, you've done it. You went out and invested in a forward-facing sonar unit so you can finally see what you've only been able to imagine in the past. You can see the fish swimming around down there. Now it's time to see your bait. Introducing Bait Pop, a forward-facing sonar intensifier. Simply rub some Bait Pop on your lure and watch that signal pop on your live electronic screen. Interested? Bait Pop contains the original fish formula and sparkle scales, so it doesn't just intensify your sonar signal, it masks your scent. It gives your bait a taste and creates a visual of scales being knocked off helpless bait fish.
Like, again, a forward-facing sonar guy, that's if I can have that advantage, to see an extra 10, 20 feet past 120 foot or whatever. Now, if I can see 140, that could be a game changer.
Look for the Bait Pop display at your favorite tackle shop or go to their website, theoriginalfishformula.com. Okay, one of the things that is so important to conventional bass boat owners is the service they get from their dealership. When you buy a boat, what you really are buying is the dealership that sells the boat to you. Will Lurion have a network of dealerships, and if so, what role will those dealerships play?
Yeah, so we're working through that now. We would love to have a network of dealerships. Our focus has been to really get the first prototypes through sort of testing, and then get the first sort of I was called boat show ready, test drive ready boat in the water. I think we would love to have a network of dealerships. We think about it as sort of, it is a direct sales model via the internet or through your phone at our website at lurionboats.com. But we want dealers to be part of that sort of Lurion Boats family, to be able to offer electric options. I think, to your point, to be able to help service them when they do need servicing. And look, there's no such thing as zero maintenance on a boat. Right? There just isn't. And if we're honest, most of us as boat owners love doing a little bit of tinkering on our boats. That's part of what we actually like about owning our boats. And talking to someone else that's as passionate as you are at the dealership is an important part of that journey. And so I think, as we get through the sort of overwhelming initial reaction here, we'll be looking to build out a dealer network and incorporate them into the Lurion Boats family.
Change. It's inevitable. To improve, you must adapt. The sport is evolving. A paradigm shift is a fundamental change of basic concepts. Don't get left behind. Introducing Paradigm. Paradigm Reels by Ducket Fishing. Pro-driven.
Well, I live in California, and we currently have legislation that will ban the sale of gasoline-powered cars by the year 2035. I don't know how realistic that is, but I assume gasoline-powered boats are also going to be on the chopping block at some point. Is this something that you're anticipating happening in other parts of the country as well?
I don't know. We're not really I wouldn't say we're super up on the legislation and legal sort of side of this. I do think for those electric only lakes that are out there, having a Lurion fly down the lake will be not quite what they expect. But I do think over time, what I would say is, look, there's no doubt there's sort of a global trend towards more electric vehicles on the roads. I think that also carries over to the water, to our lakes as well. The reality is the only output from this drivetrain is heat and water. So it's a pretty good sort of environmental outcome. But we'll see. I think the Army Corps sort of engineers are definitely looking at this whole space pretty closely. It'll take some time. We're certainly not trying to stop anyone from fishing in any kind of boat or craft they want to. I think we both caught some of our biggest bass out of kayaks and various other types of boats. And so we're not trying to be exclusive. We quite the opposite. We want to sort of be inclusive and have people be able to fish however they can. We just love fishing.
This is a question that I wanted to ask, not just you guys, but everybody in general, because you know, again, we have a very strong push for electric vehicles in California. And, you know, I know that every summer when it gets very hot in California and everybody has their air conditionings on, we get brownouts and we get periods of time when you flip a switch and nothing comes on. And, you know, if we convert to all of our automobiles to electricity and boats and things like that, does the electric grid in this country, can it handle that kind of demand?
You quickly get into the politics of all this, I would
Yes.
say, but I think here's what I would say, which you know, is we are seeing a world pretty quickly where at least the electric technology and the battery technology we've been working with is changing really quickly. We're also seeing a world where you know, we're working on a like a mathematical version of this with the naval architects. Is you can drive down the road with an electric pickup truck and be charging your pickup truck from your Lurion boat, and vice versa, right? So you think about that. You're basically towing a boat that's also a battery pack for your vehicle. And similarly, if you need, you know, to top up your boat because you want to go to another ramp or another lake for the afternoon or whatever, while you're towing your boat, you can be topping up the battery in your boat from your truck. And so the same thing I think is going to start happening from houses with battery packs to vehicles, and from vehicles to boats. A whole ecosystem will develop, but that's going to take a long time. I think in the meantime, we just need to pray for more rain and snow in the Rockies so that California and Nevada and Arizona all get enough electricity and some more bass.
Yeah. And well, I tell you what, we've got our share this week. I don't know if California can handle any more rain right now. We've
not right now. Yeah.
It's
not right now,
and it's projected that we're going to have more, which you know, I suppose we just have to capture it. And like you said, you know, a lot of things have to change here. The way California captures water, I don't think we keep more than 10% of the rain we get. I think it just goes right out, you know, and becomes part of the water cycle. We need to do a better job of that in California. Talk about getting political. I don't necessarily want to go right there right now, but that's been my biggest concern about electric vehicles is, you know, can the grids actually handle it? You know, there's also very little said about how we still make most of our electricity from fossil fuels. I guess that kind of goes towards what you just got through saying, but I guess looking at the future, I just want to know if we can handle all this electric stuff.
Look, I think only time will tell, but I think we're certainly super encouraged by what we're seeing. We've been super encouraged by the feedback we've received. I would say, you know, the feedback is pretty different between people my age and older and people Colby's age and my age. Like,
perspective, yes.
There's a big difference in perspective there. And I think, you know, like complete strangers, like thousands of them, we don't know them. They don't know us, but like, if you look on our Instagram feed for Lurion Boats, like the feedback from young people, it's unbelievable. You know, the older we are, the more set in our ways we are, or the less we like change, I think.
Absolutely.
And so, and we understand that. And I think, you know, as we mentioned earlier, we want to be humble about this and learn, and we want to try and help make the sport better and more fun and help everyone catch more fish. That's sort of it.
Okay, then the next question, kind of again, we get on this podcast, we get in discussions about the difference between conservation and environmental. But is this boat being built as an environmental solution, or is it just because it's a better idea?
I think it's just an all-around better way to fish, just because it's not only faster, but it is bigger, it's wider, and it just, there's a lot of different ways it improves the sport of bass fishing, not just like improves the ecosystem or how we fish.
Yeah, I think if we're honest, we did this to catch more fish. Sort of period, end of story. Like
that's what I wanted to hear. That's
Yeah.
what we all wanted to hear, I think, is that, you know, yeah, we want to take things that make the sport better. We coexist with our environment. That's what conservation is. And we want to make what we do better. And I think that's the answer that I guess that's the answer that I was looking for. Not that I was going to be judgmental either way, but yeah, if it's a better platform, it's a better platform.
Yeah.
When can we see actual footage of the prototype?
Yeah, well, I think we're hoping that we'll have a our actual launch was supposed to be this coming week, not last week. We just wanted to get our live website up and make sure it was working and test it and stuff like that. And the response has been unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
And so coming very, very soon, we'll have a blog on the website. We'll have like a way to contact us and ask questions, etc. And so, we'll be keeping people updated with pictures every step of the way with fit out and the different stages sort of development here. But yeah, it's all happening, real time, and we love people's ideas and feedback. Welcome. We're not pretending we have the perfect answer. It's going to have compromises, but we're certainly super excited about what we'll be able to do, and we can't wait to catch some big bass off it.
Yeah.
Colby, have you caught a bass from the platform of the prototype yet?
No, I have not. We haven't. I haven't gotten to use it yet.
Okay.
We haven't fished off it yet.
Haven't fished off it yet. Okay. That's a fair question. And that's a fair answer. Good.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
We're talking about getting to the market in 2024.
Yeah, we're hoping to be able to do deliveries in sort of summer of 2024. So people would pre-order now.
Maybe like a Bassmaster Classic show next season or something like that. Or wow,
exactly right. Yeah, I think we're hoping to be sort of on what I would call the boat show circuit.
Yeah,
starting in sort of October probably of this year, culminating with a Bassmaster Classic probably this time sort of next year.
Wow.
And then deliveries showing up in the summer of 24. So yeah.
Well, listen, guys, I really think that this might be the most important interview that I've ever conducted. I mean, I have done this for many years. I actually had an internet radio show back in the day in the early 2000s. Who knew they were going to be called podcasts back then? But we had a little station, and I really, this is groundbreaking, and very excited to see where this goes. Thanks for coming out with us today.
Yeah, real excited. Really, the whole goal in mind was just make a better boat to catch more fish and have more fun with more people. Really,
too simple, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
thanks for having us.
Thank you for being with us. Take care, and we look forward to hearing more about Lurion Boats in the future.
Yeah,
great.
Thank you.
Bye, Ron.
Perspective is everything in the world. In bass fishing, we have the perspective of being anglers. We drive the vehicles we drive, we fish out of the boats we fish out of, and we generally follow a set of norms that provide us with boundaries that we operate within. Sorry if I'm sounding kind of sociological there. When someone comes along with a different perspective, that is when there is a chance for significant change. I don't know where the future of bass boat development is headed. I do remember the outcry over changing our beloved outboards from 2-stroke to 4-stroke. Remember that, old timers? I can't be the outspoken perspective for forward-facing sonar and increased technology in our sport while turning my back to an electric bass boat. What I can say is that this idea is fascinating, And thank goodness we have those who are willing to explore and to ask, what if? We're just going to have to see where this goes. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Bass Show Anglers podcast. Thanks for being with us. Please hit the subscribe button. Larry,
Get her done.
like this video, and of course, leave us a comment. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you're thinking. Folks, until next time, keep both hands on the wheels. Keep those life vests zipped and clipped. Be safe out there, and we'll talk to you again very soon.